right. With that, friends, I am so happy to say that we are all set to go with our next run, which is Deltarune Chapter 3 All Bosses by LordFluffy. Take it away, friend.
Alrighty then. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Fastest First Fall Fest. My name is LordFluffy, and this, as you heard, is Deltarune Chapter 3 All Bosses. Of course, as the name implies, the category is going to defeat every boss available to us in Chapter 3. I am, of course, not alone today. I have a wonderful commentator with me. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm K-Man. I also run this game.
All right. Before we get into it, we have a file name incentive. I do need to know who is the victor today. What are we naming the file?
I'm going to be doing one quick refresh just in case, and the winner today is Togore, capital T and everything else lowercase O-G-O-R-E. Or just in this case, all capital, because that's a thing. Thank you so much, everybody, for your generous donations towards Trans Lifeline for this bid war.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. All right, just want to confirm that is the name on screen, ready to go.
That's good.
All righty. So, timing will begin when I select yes on this screen. All right. Cameron, you good to go?
We're good to go.
All righty. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
All right. So, obviously, Deltarune is the parallel story to Undertale, and this is, of course, a great thing to point out that although the games share a lot of similarities, there are some immediate differences that we will notice right out of the gate. The first one to note is that in Undertale, you had to mash the text boxes at a maximum of 15 text boxes per second. And in this game, we have something called the wrist protector, which mashes text boxes at 15 text boxes per second for you, which is great because it means you don't develop carpal tunnel at the age of 30. Why 30? No reason in specific. Anyway. So the opening part of Chapter 3 is pretty slow, so we're just going to go ahead and skip through all of that by just interacting with the couch here, mashing through the choicer to sleep, and that will take us directly into the real meat of the gameplay for Chapter 3, which is going to be these Tenna boards. And if you thought that we were playing Deltarune, sorry, we're actually playing The Legend of Zelda. And this is where the key big difference between Chapter 3 and all the other chapters in Deltarune are, in that a significant portion of the gameplay of the chapter is these Tenna boards, where your movement is very different. So, unlike later on, where we'll be taking movement, more focus on speed keeping, here we just want to take the most efficient lines possible. So we start out by draining the water from the oasis here by drinking from it 8 times, which initiates the first boss fight. And K-Man can take it over.
Yep, so, this is the Tenna boards. You have a goal to beat. In this particular case, you need to get 3 keys as well as the special medallion from beating this boss in order to beat the board. And at the end of the board, you get a rank for how well you did. That rank is based on 3 things: how well you did in the fight, how many points you got during the board, and how well you do in the physical challenge, which is a special minigame at the end of the board. Now, points and how well you do in fights are tied together a little bit. You do get more points from a fight based on how well you do, and how well you do is based on how many turns you take, how much TP you have at the end of the fight, which if you see there's a line and a star on the TP bar on the left side of the screen, that's how much you need for the max rank. And most importantly, the easiest one to mess up is how many hits you take. Now for this fight, since it's a boss fight, you actually get a leeway of 2 extra hits before you start losing score to taking too many hits. But on every non-boss fight, every single hit you take means you score worse and you get less points, which is bad. Now, the last important thing to remember for fights in Deltarune is a mechanic called grazing. That's how you're going to get a decent chunk of your TP. And on top of that, every time you graze, for the vast majority of attacks, you make the attack shorter for every single graze you do. So doing as many grazes as you can throughout the fight makes it go faster.
Yeah, but now that is the end of the first boss fight. Unfortunately, we ended up breaking up a couple here, and this is going to cause Tenna to come onto the screen and say, wow, we are out of time, folks. Haha, I love watching TV. Haha, I love watching TV.
Haha, I love watching TV. Haha, I love watching TV. Haha, I love watching TV. Haha, I love watching TV.
All right, and that is the first boss fight right out of the way. We got a T rank on it, which is extremely good, a great amount of good points. We go right into the second fight here.
Yep, and this one's going to be a simple defend, act, pacify to take care of each one of these shadow guys in their first turn. Now, just like before, grazing's really important because you don't exactly have very many turns to get TP, so you'll want to get as much as you can to maximize your point, because it is absolutely required to get an S rank at the end of the board. If you do not get that, you cannot continue your run.
Alrighty. Now, so the first of the objectives is done. We got the medallion from the La Nina El Nina boss fight. So the second is going to be getting those 3 keys. First of which, because we drained the Oasis, we were able to pick up Lancer right away, which is something that people who, most of their casual playthroughs, wouldn't actually have known the first time through. It allows us to get the first key from Lancer digging in that spot immediately. Now, we are going to go ahead and take a little backup here. It says this quiz. This quiz, the answers are the third option, second option, and first option. The reason why we're taking this quiz is just to get a bit of extra safety points, just in case we don't do super well on the minigame at the end of this board. With that being said, this gives us an extra 300 points of buffer, which is really good. We'll get into another good reason why it's great later. We leave that queue because we don't need it there. But next up, we're going to be coming to this cactus, picking up the key from the cactus, and now that we have the 2 keys from Lancer and the cactus, we'll do a little cactus boost there to save a few frames, pushing us upward, and now we'll head to go get the final key. Now, the final key is not that one right there that you can see on the screen. That one takes a little bit of time to get to. We're instead just going to buy the key from the shop in question. Now we take a little bit of a wide path, because now that we have the medallion and all the keys, that wide path is going to allow the NPCs of Rouse and Susie to get into their position quicker and save more time overall than if we went straight to the door. And with that being said, we are now done with the first Tenna board. We're going to head into the first physical challenge, mashing through these choicers here, while also holding the wrist protector. It is worth noting that you cannot mash on top of the wrist protector in every chapter beyond chapter 2, or chapter 1. But now we're going to get into the physical challenge minigame, and Cam can take over as I focus.
So this minigame is a little bit difficult because you can actually end this difficult. You see a timer starts at 100 seconds in the top right. You can actually end that at about 30 seconds and not have to last the whole time. And that is going to be with the special guests that we just appeared on the screen. Unfortunately, Fluffy did miss their first throw, so it's going to be a little bit slower, but it shouldn't be too bad as long as they can get the other throws. The reason... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you have basically 1 throw of buffer, and as long as you get the other ones, you should be fine.
Yep, like that. That was great. So there are 4 special guests throughout the fight, or throughout the minigame, sorry. If you do get your throw on the first 3, you can end the minigame on the 3rd one, which saves about 30 seconds. The last special guest still spawns at about 15 seconds, so you still save a little bit of time, but more importantly, if you end the minigame early, you get the best possible score you can get, which basically guarantees you get the S rank or better on the overall board, which, as I mentioned, you have to do that to continue the run. If you do not, you cannot beat one of the optional bosses in this chapter, which means you're not all bosses anymore. Now with this giant stack of food, okay. That's alright, so we're just gonna have to run out the whole timer on this fight, on this minigame. But that's alright. Fluffy did get the extra quiz points. So with that, as long as they don't fail, as long as they don't get like super low score, which they're nowhere near, it'll be perfectly fine. They'll still have S rank for the board.
Yeah. So here we go. We have 2 S ranks. That should be enough. Yep, that's going to be enough to get S rank. So even though we did not get the early endings of the minigame, still going to be on pace here. Not going to have to worry about any backups for that reason. So the first minigame is done here, and Tenna is going to go ahead and kick away the credits as they're rolling through and say, oh, but actually, it was round 1 of 2, ladies and gentlemen. I am Tenna. Look at me pose. And we're going to get our way into the green room, where we're going to navigate to the S-rank door to go to the first of 3 S-rank specific minigames, more like special boards. But before that, we're going to talk to this NPC Ram here. We're going to pick up a pink ribbon. The pink ribbon is not required to be picked up for this run. However, it's going to help me with a fight later on in the run, and I prefer to have it versus not having it. So as we enter the S-rank door here, Ram is going to appear once again. We're going to talk to Ram from the left specifically because Ram will move twice if we don't talk to Ram from the left. And moving twice to the left is slower than simply interacting with Ram from any direction. So as we come into this special board in the back, this special board is basically the game that Tenna based his own boards off of. But unfortunately, we don't have a controller. But very conveniently, there's a controller on the floor here. So now that we got the controller, we can just activate the special board, which is the game. The letters here look like they say mantle, so we'll call these the mantle boards going forward. And as you start up this board, wow, this sound is the most annoying sound in the world. I hate it. It was designed this way on purpose. It definitely was designed this way on purpose. I still hate it every time. All right, but now that we're in this special board, you'll notice the Rouse and Susie avatars are not with us, and these monster NPCs that are around us have no active hitboxes, so we can run through them with no problem. But if you thought I was joking about the whole playing the Legend of Zelda thing before, as we come into this secret cave here, we'll pick up the sword. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. And now we're playing The Legend of Zelda for real. So the goal of this board is going to be to take out and defeat every monster on the board itself. And that is going to be facilitated mostly by the way the NPCs move here. So you will lose and gain a bunch of time here by how the NPCs move and how you move in accordance to them. With great RNG, you won't have to move very much at all, but with bad RNG, you might have to take a few extra steps to one direction, and that will gain and lose you time over time here. But the main goal, as I said, is to defeat every monster here, and you may notice some parallels in the design of the monsters to a friendly little parallel story called Undertale. There's definitely nothing implied there at all. A little bit of a bad RNG on that guy as he moves to the left. We want him to move to the right on the bridge, but no big deal. And as we come into the second half here, I'll let K-Man take over.
Yep, so once you kill all the enemies in this little overworld section here, you hit level 3 on your sword, which allows you to break the cactuses with your sword, which gets you into this special area that you cannot get to on the Tenna board. This is wholly unique to the mantle board. And as you'll see, Fluffy will leave an enemy there. That's because it kind of just ran away, but that's alright. We have to double back through there anyway. So it's just quicker to get it on the backswing rather than going forward. Now, for this board, all you do have to do is kill all of the enemies, including in this special secret area, and then you can head straight to the end. The other two boards that we'll be doing later are a little bit more unique, but we'll get to that as we see it. Now, though, all the enemies have been killed, music's gone, the max level has been acquired, and now we can cut down the trees. And here we just need to do a couple of screen transitions. Doesn't matter which direction, any transition will do, and eventually this chest will spawn, marking the end of the first mantle board.
Yeah, and inside of it is the ice key, which is going to be required to do the second mantle board. Otherwise, it's not possible to finish the second mantle board. But as the screen turns off here, we will transition back into Deltarune gameplay for a brief period of time. We're going to go set up for the second of the Tenna boards. And while we're doing that, if there's any messages from the host, now's a great time, Asuka.
Absolutely, and funny you mentioned Tenna. We have $10 donated from Haha, I love watching TV with the comment, Haha, I love watching TV. Thank you so much for that. That brings our total for the Tori 2 80% run to $170 out of 500. We are very quickly running out of time. And as a quick note, I see friends at Slightly Furry watching right now. So quick shout out to all of you in Seattle, Washington, watching us live. We definitely want to have you get that speed run within a speed run. So ! donate in chat and put your donations towards that Tori 2 80% run. We'd love to see it take place.
Yeah, it would be fantastic if we got that, ladies and gentlemen. Get those donuts in. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is also a very silly run. You're going to love to see it. Anyway, here we are in the second of the two Tenna boards that we'll be doing. The objective in this one is ultimately to get two lovers to the Lover's Peak. However, in the meantime, we need to pick up this camera and take some photos. So there are two really quick ones to get and two relatively slow ones to get. However, with the way that the routing of this works out, you're expected to go the slow route to get at least one of those photos. So we just quickly go down there to pick up the first really quick photo, and now we're going to go along the path to the 2 slower photos just because we're forced to go this way regardless. So point routing is going to be important through here, not just for the fact that we'll want to have a specific amount of points for, at bare minimum, C rank, but also important because there's a lot of ways that we can pick up points here. So we're in control of the Chris NPC avatar currently. However, Susie, after Tenna leaves, is going to say, actually, I'm going to swap these boards, and now we're in control of the Susie avatar, who has the ability to pick up things and throw them, but more importantly, has the ability to pick up weeds. And each of these weeds that we pick up is going to be worth 5 points. We want to pick up as many of these as we possibly can, because every point is going to matter. We go up right here to the pizza deodorant because it's slightly faster than the ribbon because of the way that the Chris NPC avatar moves here. Unfortunately, we cannot look fabulous with the ribbon, I am sorry to say. But we're going to go into another fight here, and K-Man can take over.
Yep, so this is a fight with 3 Pippins. It's going to be a spare act for all 3 of them. That will take each one down per turn. And as Fluffy said, all those weeds are getting points. And on this board, a little bit more so than the first one, points are a little bit more of a struggle because there's no safety quiz you can take. So you absolutely want to make sure you get as many weeds as you can and take as few hits as possible in the combat to make sure you get enough points.
Yep, didn't take any hits, which is really good. Not quite good RNG on the dice rolls. We ideally want to see 3s and 4s so we can get a lot of grace points, but it's okay. Ended up working out. So now we're in a situation where Susie was told to put the controllers back to normal, but actually gave Rouse control of the Chris NPC. But we want it back, so we're going to choice her over to get control back, which is going to allow us to navigate through here ourselves. The big thing is, of course, the fact that even if we let Rouse maintain control here, it's simply faster to take control back. Small little thing, you want to go on the top of this loading zone so that Susie navigates over to the bridges a little bit quicker. And as we head into this building, or into this staircase rather, we hit this and then position ourselves in this breakable wall because Susie is going to throw a bomb that's going to detonate all of these bombs and then break the wall. This is where the 3rd photo is going to be, which is going to be us looking for a red one of these enemies. Decent RNG, getting it on 2nd try. Ideally, we get it first, but not the end of the world if we get it on 2nd. And now we have all 3 of the photos we need. We take a quick pit stop here to eat some moss off the wall. Very healthy. To perpetuate the cycle of perpetuity, or whatever the line is, and all that. But now that we have all 3 of the pictures, the shrine is a shrine. And inside of it, we now have access to the raft, which, as I said, the ultimate goal is to unite 2 lovers at Lover's Peak. And one of the other lovers that we need to get, it forces us to use the raft. So we're going to navigate it all the way to the left side here, get off at this dock, and head on through this conspicuous-looking room. And the lover that we didn't select in the first fight with El Nino and El Nina is going to be here. But as we transition back here, the door is going to close on us. We take a picture of all 3 of the heroes, and this heads us into our next boss fight against Shutta and K-Man. Take it away.
Yep, so if you've done this game casually, you might remember you can do some mini games to take pictures of Shutta, and that will give them mercy. But as it turns out, sparing them just gives 10% mercy. So it's a lot faster to just spare 3 times in 3 turns, and then 1 more turn to finish them off. But grazing is still very important here. Not only does it get you more points for the board, though Fluffy's doing pretty dang well on points for this board. Shouldn't have to worry too terribly much about that. But it just makes every single attack faster.
All right,
last turn you don't need to spare all 3 times. You can just defend once.
Yeah, that was fantastic. This board is going really well right now. So, assuming that the physical challenge later on goes a little bit worse than what we'd ideally like, we should still be fine. But yeah, we've got all we need here. So we're gonna head off to Lover's Peak. La Nino has been reintroduced to El Nina. Or did I get that wrong? Their names are similar. I get this wrong all the time. Anyway, Rules Card is here, and he comes in and says, "Listen, I know. Let me saith. Thou shouldst not be apart. Thou shouldst be together. with me. Join me in my polycule. We're going to go off to Atlantis together. Come with me, my lovelies. Goodbye, you two. Or you three, rather. Goodbye. And here we go. Yeah, that's going to be it for Tenna board number 2. We're going to head into the second physical challenge, which is going to be a musical minigame. Do you like Guitar Hero? This is an easier version of a Guitar Hero. It's fun. I'm bad at it. Let's hope I do good at it, because I need to do good at it. Quick little thing. Holding the X and up arrows on your keyboard will cause you to come out of the ground faster there, which is a small little bit of speed tech. But at this point, we're on a bit of an auto-scroller. Not much we can do to speed this up, aside from mash through the choicers and whatnot. But you may notice there is a drummer, a guitarist, and a vocalist. Now, there are lyrics to this upcoming song that aren't actually sung, but Rousey does change those lyrics, but I kind of prefer the original lyrics. I'm not going to lie with you. So, what if, now just hear me out, there were actually vocals to this track that you could hear and perceive with your eardrums. I'm filling time. When the demon heart is crying and the blood is gushing bright, raise up your bat for the burning fight. When your hope is slowly dying and your future's lost its rights, raise up your bat and face the fright. Let's knock 'em dead into the night.
I don't know if you could hear my clapping, but there's clapping coming through my microphone. That was awesome.
Come follow me into the dark with your heart as the arc which shall shine you the way. Because I'm with you in the dark with your heart as the arc which shall guide you the way through the waves. Come follow me into the dark with your heart as the arc which shall shine you the way. Because I'm with you in the dark with your heart as the arc which shall guide you the way through the waves. When the demon heart is crying and the blood is gushing bright, raise up your bat for the burning fight. When your hope is slowly dying and your future's lost its rights, raise up your bat and face the fright. Let's knock 'em dead into the night. All right, and that is the full... Thank you very much. That is the full minigame here. We should have done good enough here to get the S rank. Yep, we did, so that's perfect. Both of the S ranks have been required here, and we are all donezo with the Tenna boards. We are not done with all the boards yet. We do have another mantle board to go through here, but that is the 2 main boards done. Of course, Tenna is going to be like, hold the presses, everyone. We've reached the milestone for the special 3rd round, and you all should come and join me. Man, hey, we want to go seal the dog fountain. Oh, that's okay. I'll just go over here and cry, I guess. All right, fine, we'll do it. All right, let's go. All right, so now that we're done with that, we're going to head into the second of the Tenna of the mantle boards here. We don't need to pick up the gift from Ram this time here, so we're just going to go straight on in. And, whew, gotta tell you, I'm a little short on breath after that. just a little. Just a little. It's okay, though, because once we get into here, we'll be able to have some relaxing, easy gameplay where I don't have to worry about taking good lines. I can just take great lines, even. All right, so this is the second of the 2 mantle boards. Hello, everyone. Do you like to hear annoying noises? Here you go. Ear-destroying note. All right, so just a little bit. So just like the first board, the first objective is to navigate over to where the sword is to pick it up. Thankfully, it is right over in this cave. It takes less time to get to than the first one, and we can commence with the killing of monster NPCs once again. So this one is going to be one where I don't have to worry about my health as much as I did the first time, just because we will receive a heal. Oop. Little bit of missing here. Oh, it's okay. I did it. Small options like you can do here with this upcoming fish. If the fish goes down here, which it does, you continue downward into this cave, which will do an intentional wrong warp back to the very start. But if the fish went up, I would have actually just went up myself. And it's an option select that's based on the NPC position there, which is just some little optimization thing that is just so cool. So cool that people figure stuff like that out. All right, so now we have gone through the waterfall to the secret entrance behind it, and we are on a raft. Now, we're going to a location that does exist technically in the Tenna board, but typically gets blocked off by Tenna. There's only one way to access it, and it's, pretty out of the way to do. But as we reach the edge of that shore here, we're going to navigate twice to the right, and then twice to the left, and then a few times upward. As we navigate to the left one more time, we'll get into this line. And as we transition a few more times, this will put us in line with the dock. We will hop off the dock and then make our way over to this grass, which we have enough level to break, and then make our way into the Ice Palace, which is going to be the place that we needed to get the ice key from the first board to even access in the first place. And I need to breathe and focus. K-Man, take over, please.
So we're doubling down on the Legend of Zelda gameplay. This is going to be the first dungeon we get to do, the Ice Palace. So not only do we have to go through and kill all of the monsters to get our max level, you'll see there's some enemies that we're going to run past for now. We actually can't do anything to them, even once we get max level. We'll have to come back for those later once we find the special item in the dungeon that we get some hints about in those hint rooms like we just passed. Fortunately, those dragons cooperated very well. Sometimes they like to jump around and do crazy things that lose a lot of time. But after this room's cleared up, there's just one more hint room to run through, and then we will get the item for the dungeon, which is going to be the aforementioned white cloak. And that's going to be very useful because that gives us some ice magic, the forbidden magic. Lets you freeze those stone-looking enemies so you can push the switches with them. So now we gotta navigate our way back through the dungeon, back all the way almost to the entrance. And we can finally deal with some of those pesky enemies that we couldn't before. This next room coming up's a little hectic. Ideally, the stone guy on the left wanders all the way to the left, so you don't have to push his ice block all the way over like that, but little bit unlucky there. Now we're back towards the start of the dungeon. There's one more room to go. You might have noticed, if you're observant, there's a pesky little blue bird in the way. And now he's not in the way anymore.
Yeah, in order to be able to progress in this dungeon, we have to freeze a bluebird to proceed. And there's definitely absolutely nothing about that is in any way reminiscent of any part of Deltarune whatsoever. But that little maze there, up, left, right, down, right, will be the path to go every single time. Once you're through there, you make your way over to this door right here. And in this door, we are going to use up the ice key as well as the white cloak, which is referred to as she. No reason for that. But as we enter this door, we'll go up enough to trigger some dialogue, and then go down up one more time in order to spawn the shelter key. That is going to be the end of the second mantle board here. And we are going to now navigate our way to, once we are done with this, I should say, we are going to navigate our way to start to investigate things, because if we tried to just go, activate the third board, Tenna would start being a little bit weird. And because Tenna starts being weird, we start go investigation mode. So what we're going to do as we come out of here is hold to the right, and we're going to start by interacting with this Zapper NPC here. We're going to push his buttons, which is going to teleport us, and that conveniently teleports us over near this vending machine, which we're going to want to buy a weapon for each of the 3 playable characters here. This is not required, but we're going to come over to this vending machine, buy 5 of those, and now we're going to head back on over to the Zapper NPC, tries push his buttons again, and he's going to say, I can't do that, and he's going to leave. So now we're in this little backstage area where there's a few doors and dialogue we have to get through, as well as some passwords. The first password is always 213. And now as we come into here, there is a bit of dialogue that we can skip all of if we choose the top choicer of don't here. And as we head into the next room, the passcode for this door is going to be 1225 or 1225, which is Christmas. Once again, Fluffy, stop mashing. And Christmas, as you know, is a literal December holiday, which is not relevant in any way, shape, or form. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But now we're out in this open stage area, which is really cold and covered in snow. And as we come over here, there's a dialogue here that the wrist protector doesn't auto skip through, which there's a few cases of this throughout the run for some reason. But we come over here, there's this giant gotcha ball for some reason, and inside it is our mom. It's Toriel. Goat Mom. We need to save Goat Mom, but oh no, Tenna spotted us. And as we go through here, we're going to head on into the third board. And while there is some speed tech to the third board, we can explain it later. So Asuka, if you got any messages, take it away.
Again, you've been watching LordFluffy absolutely demolish this run, and we are running out of time to get that Tori 2%, 80% run into Banjo-Kazooie, so I have a request for you, chat. I see a lot of memes and a lot of Deltarune love coming in chat right now. I say at 35 minutes, let's get a meme train going. Exclamation point donate in chat right now, and well, at 35 minutes, tell me all of the memes. I want to hear them. I want to know what's your favorite meme in Deltarune. Deltarune, weird, you say. I see a lot of weird stuff. I see a lot of frozen chicken. Let me know and put those incentives towards Tori 2. We need to get this hit, and we are running so quickly out of time. We're at $170 to $500. We need to hit that 500 before the start of Banjo-Kazooie. So again, in about 4.5 minutes or so, let's get that meme train going, friends.
All right. So as we head back into the third board here, it's kind of like a destroyed city, and Tenna's in complete control. There's a few things we can do to speed this up. The first of which is sometimes when Tenna is moving along the board, you want to hold on to the final box of dialogue because Tenna walking will approach the NPCs, the quizzes, or the battles quicker than if Tenna was actually running towards them. So sometimes you want to hold on to that final dialogue box. Sometimes you want to let it rip immediately. But in a lot of cases, you're on an auto-scroller. Like right here, for example, once all the dialogue has been mashed through with the wrist protector, I'm just kind of waiting for everything to finish. So in the meantime, I'll just let you know that, oh my goodness, Chris's outfit is a non-binary mood. Let me look at that. That's beautiful. It's great. I love it. Beautiful outfit. Anyway, physical challenge is definitely meant to do that. So right here, gonna wait for Tenna to get as close as possible to that quiz before removing the final dialogue there, which is just going to save a little bit of time. The family is fighting again. All right, so as we get into this battle, we're going to select Act on the Shadow Guy and select the Sharpshoot option. Ideally, you don't shoot off the hat from the guy, but as long as you hit Tenna, it's fine. What ends up happening if you shoot Tenna with the Sharpshoot Act is he will fire that Shadow Guy and prevent the Shadow Guy from reappearing later on, saving some bit of time as well. But here we go. We're going into another physical challenge, which is going to be the music one again. And I'll tell you, you might think it's time to play music, but in actuality, the music is just kind of gonna play on its own. I don't know about you, but I get real Doom Diawi vibes from this music. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you why. Couldn't tell you why at all. 0% understanding. All right, once again, hold on to that final dialogue box. There's a little bit of RNG in the quizzes itself where, Rousey will always pick a random option. Rousey can pick the bottom one, which is really slow, but ideally we get the first or second dialogue. Doesn't lose that much time. All right, Tayman, take over.
Yep, so this is the final encounter for this destroyed board ruled by Tenna. Gonna select the volume up option to make the laser beams bigger to try and get max DP, which Fluffy did get, which lets you use the special action turn off, and that frees you from Tenna's control.
Yeah. And once you are freed from Tenna's control, now we get into the actual Deltarune gameplay of Chapter 3. And this is where we can start talking about the main speed tech of the game, which is the sprint function. So, in Deltarune, your sprint you have a button that gives you sprint, but if you've been uninterrupted sprinting for about 3 seconds, you enter an enhanced speed state where you run even faster than when you were before. So most of Deltarune's optimal speed routing is going to be related to keeping that maximum speed at all times. So right here, we're going to go into a mini game. In that mini game, we're cowboys, except Ralsei is the horse for some reason, and we have to do a little classic Mario Party mini game where guys are going to come out of the window and you're going to have to shoot them. These can come out in fixed patterns. I don't know if there's only one particular fixed pattern for this one. I feel like I've seen more than one pattern, but either way, as long as you're quick to react, you can take them out pretty quickly here. Diagonals are hard. Did you know that? All right, so moving onward, as we head into the next room, one of the other things about Deltarune gameplay you're going to want to do is encounter avoidance. So right there, I went back and forth to try and keep my speed while avoiding an encounter there. Because of this game is different from Undertale in that encounters are not random on the overworld. They're things you have to actually interact with in order to enter them, which can be both useful and not useful depending on the circumstance you're going for. For example, it can be a little bit detrimental in all recruits on occasion. Sorry, helpful in all recruits on occasion, but for other categories, not that useful. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, Cayman, if you want to take over for the next little bit while I focus up.
Sure. So, as Fluffy said, there's going to be a few encounters that they will find on the overworld. That first one is pretty easy. There's another easier one later on, but this one right here in this room, this one's quite a bit difficult because it is a bit random. Those shadow guys can spawn in random locations, and all you have to go off is their shadows that spawn on the ground, but Fluffy made it through beautifully, kept their speed up, and didn't get any of the encounters.
Yeah.
And now it's time for some sneaking.
Yeah, so as you enter the sneak zone, Susie will say, actually, I'm a speedrunner, and now you start speeding really quickly through stealth zones, so anytime you can use the stealth zones, it's going to be quick. We're going to do a little bit of a manipulation strat there in order to make sure that we don't get that encounter, so that's the second of the harder to dodge encounters all done. Here we want to make sure we don't get caught by these spotlights, so we just wait a little bit in place to, avoid the spotlight. In a lot of cases, even though ideally keeping your speed maximum through a location is ideal, guaranteeing you don't run into an encounter or something that sets you back a little bit is going to save more time than keeping your maximum speed. Ideally both, but if you have to choose the no encounter. All right, there's a second one of these mini games here. Ideally, none of these guys spawn on the intercardinals or the diagonals here. They can spawn on the diagonals here. It's just pretty rare for it to happen, but looks like we got them all down pretty quickly here. But as we come out of this little mini game here, I gotta say, Ralsei, it's not Mumu Musume Pretty Derby. You need to stop horsing around. We need to get back to what we're doing. With that being said, we're now going to continue forward. There's one more encounter skip that we're going to get to in just a second. Despite what you might think, using these speed zones to navigate around the Shadow Guy room is actually faster here than just running straight through it, which is very nice to see. Once again, another cutscene here. As we pass through this door, the lore basically is that we have escaped Tenna's wrath, and now Tenna's trying to find us, but people are noticing that Tenna is getting very controlling and very rude and mean, and they're kind of just all abandoning him one by one, which is, it's a tragedy. I'll tell you that much. It's a tragedy. But there's a little bit of speed keep and encounter avoidance here. The encounter avoidance is honestly not that hard. Unfortunately, we didn't keep the speed. It's a very small pathway. We have to try and get through there. Didn't end up working out. So for here, there's a couple of quizzes in this room that you want to avoid by going bottom, top, in terms of pathways. Try and keep your speed here. Ideally, you want to keep the tightest line possible without touching the corners. You will lose that speed by touching like the corners or like statues or stuff like that. But Same thing here as before, where you want to just, okay, I'm just going to wait out this one because I didn't trust it. Same thing here. I'm just going to wait this out because I didn't trust it. But yeah, that's going to be this entire gameplay section. Pretty well done. Got through all 4 of the encounters without getting any of them. And now I'm going to quickly do a safety heal here as we go into this fight. Yeah, this is going to be upcoming, the rules card fight. So, rules card in this situation is to be like, oh, I'm just here for the stacks. Don't worry about it. I don't need to fight. I'm dating the second in command. That makes me the second in command, yes? Toughest speed keep in the game here. Somehow got it. That's incredible. But now, 2 steps later, the rules card is like, actually, it doesn't work like that. I'm not second in command by dating them, so I need to fight you. But you'll kick my butt if I do that. So what if we fought non-violently? And yeah, K-Man, you can take over for this fight.
Yep, so in this fight, unlike every other, you do not get to do anything but act. All of your options have been replaced with act. So you can't really do much on the menu. But hey, you can still graze at least to make the attacks a little faster. And now we get a friend. We get Lancer, and he gives us the Lancer card. So now, instead of just being able to act, some of those acts are going to be replaced with a Lancer card. Now, you have to time your hit to get these Lancer cards, which Fluffy did marvelously for the first round. You need a total of 5 of those Lancer cards to finish a phase and move on to the next. Fluffy got 3 of them in the first go, so they will just be able to get 2 here and then immediately mash through the last box, which, hey, still gave him the 3rd card. That's cool. Doesn't matter, but it's cool. For the second set of enemies that rules card hires, actually, instead of doing all that, all you have to do is get hit by a couple of balls of yarn, Rousey turns into a ball of yarn, and they get fired for not killing Rousey. Don't need a cuddly fluff ball, we need dead. And now it gets progressively harder, so now you also have to dodge the rules cards. If you touch a rules card at all, that instantly fails that attack. But you still have to time the hit for the Lancer card, which does become very hard on the last one, unfortunately. Well, if you did miss that 3rd card, but that's alright. As long as they get 3 cards in the next attack, there will be no extra turns. Even if they do get an extra turn, it's not that bad. It's only about 20 or so seconds for an extra turn.
A rules card, after having a little trouble directing his honeys, he goes, okay, I have a laser pointer. If you could just follow that, that'd be great. Just follow, over here, maybe a little over there. Yeah, so hopefully we get these 3 inputs here. It's going to be difficult, of course, because of the rules cards in the way, but we'll do our best. Unfortunately, I didn't get it, so we're going to have to do one more turn on the rules card fight. Not the end of the world, but it does just mean we have to do 1 extra turn with this attack, which is not the end of the world. This is one of the shorter attacks in this fight overall. So we just need to hit 1 of them here. Once we hit 1, we'll have enough points that I can just smash through the other 2, and we will finish the fight. So 1 extra turn on that fight, but still, that's like one of the very few blemishes on this run so far. So I'm very happy with it overall. All right, so basically the 2 of them are going to say, we're reunited, and rules card, having been definitely dumped and not planned to get them back together, goes away. Shoutouts to the Star Walker... Shoutouts to the Star Walker Easter egg here that says they'll only date someone they can share the sky with, and then Star Walker comes along and puts them in another polycule, and that one is way better. Anyway, so as we're navigating back to the Green Moon here, Asuka, if you got any messages, take it away.
Yeah, I just want to remind people, we are less than an hour to go in this run, and we still need to hit that Tori to any % incentive that's going to be coming to you live, not just on the internet, but live from Slightly Furry Beverage Company. So hello, friends there at Slightly Furry right now, watching this in person. But we're running out of time. We are still needing about $330 to go and get that incentive in mind, and that is a speed run within a speed run. So friends, ! Donate in chat. And honestly, let me know what your favorite boss is in Deltarune or any of the chapters, because honestly, there are some super cool bosses in here, but I cannot stress to you enough, we need to push now to get this incentive met. Lord Fluffy is doing an amazing job, and we are running out of time. So let's go, chat.
I believe in y'all, chat. You can get those donuts in. Absolutely, you got some time to do it. And we're coming up now to the third of the mantle boards. You see the door is already open here. The NPC ram turning to stone. There's some lore implications with the dark fountains and all this other stuff. I don't have time to get into that. I'm speedrunning. One more time for the road. The ear-destroying note, doth cometh. Oh, no.
Ah, yes, the noise.
All right. So here we are in the third mantle board. Fun fact, this is this board that you're looking at is one that was planned to be playable at one point. So much so that if you mess with game files to access this area, it's still mostly playable. But unfortunately, there's no enemies on the entire board for you to take out once you get the sword here. So if there's no enemies, what about allies? That doesn't have any harrowing implications for the remainder of the game. None whatsoever. Absolutely not. Anyway, as we're looking at this path, which is a kind of a weird route, as we get to the end here, entering this manhole, we'll enter the final dungeon of the mantle boards, and K-Man can take it over.
Yep, so here in this dungeon, once again, we just have to make it through to the end. No special item for us to find, no forbidden ice magic this time, but we do get a couple of mini-bosses coming up in the next room. There'll be a funny little mini-boss and a bunch of extra enemies to go with it. Thankfully, you actually only need to kill the mini-boss. All of the other enemies will die once the mini-boss is running a little low on health.
Yeah, I knew it was greedy, but I still went for it.
Yeah, that room is a lot of projectile spam. Fairly easy to die there if you're not careful. But that's alright. Thankfully, that is fairly early on in this dungeon, so it's not too bad of a repeat. So after this dungeon, there's going to be a little bit of a long walk to get to the final fight of the mantle boards. The whole reason we had to get S rank, why we had to do every preceding mantle board to get here, to fight one of the bosses of this chapter. Now, if you have played this before, you do know that it's technically not required to beat the final boss in this chapter. However, the run does count the final boss of the board here as a boss. So we do have to do all of this work, get the S rank, do all of the boards to fight that one last boss. One extra boss, but that's alright. It also makes the final boss of the chapter quite a bit easier. And believe me when I say you want every little bit of advantage you can get against that fight. It is an incredibly difficult fight. But we're coming up on the end of the dungeon here now. There's a few flying cat heads that come at you. And then just this weird room full of enemies that don't move or do anything. But, go ahead.
Sorry. Ironically, you mentioned Weird Room because I just got a $25 donation for Trans Lifeline coming from Togor, who says Weird Room. Thank you for that donation. And that did go towards the Tori 280% run, so keep that coming. We're just over 300 to go, friends.
Yeah, keep those coming in, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming up on the end of the board here. The tenant NPC is doing a bunch of backstory, basically giving him relation to a character from the previous chapter called Spampton. But as we come over here, we'll come into an eerily familiar place, and Chris will start fighting against us, the player here, start moving the NPC away, but unfortunately is not able to wrest complete control. and is going to words are hard. Is going to relent to us as we enter the shelter, and as we come around this corner here. I don't know if the official name is Nightmare or E-Ram or something like that, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the boss fight against John Mantle.
Yep, so this fight is obviously very different from anything else in Deltarune. We're still in the Zelda 1 board. But the first time you do it, it's even more unique. It guarantees that the boss will do this pattern in the first phase. It will always go bombs into fireball. But unfortunately, to go with that, in the second and third phase, the boss will eventually spawn some extra enemies. They cannot drop health the first time you do this boss. So you only have your base health bar the first time you fight, and you cannot get any more health. And to go with that, there is a unique mechanic of your damage actually deteriorates a little bit over time. You start out dealing something like 1 damage, then your next hit deals a half damage. Unfortunately
just got a
taking
really,
the death.
A really, really bad pattern there alongside a bit of sloppy gameplay, getting hit a bit too much time early on. So here we go with try number 2.
Yep, it is this boss and the final boss of the run that are the reason for the estimate. These are not only the most difficult part of the run, but probably the 2 most difficult boss fights in all of the chapters and all of Deltarune. But, so for this boss, every time you hit it, your damage actually goes down temporarily until the boss does a new attack. So every time the boss does a new attack, your damage goes back up, which significantly extends the amount of time in this boss. But a couple more attacks should clear through this phase. Should get it right here. Yep. So this, not only does the boss throw bombs, but will all throw extra bombs on the fireball. Oh, never mind. Fluffy did enough damage that we're not even going to see the fireball variant in this phase. Now it's just going to be more additional enemies and these dashes until the final phase. And at the beginning of the final phase, Fluffy's actually going to go for a little bit of a strat where there is a pixel-perfect safe spot you can take in the middle of the boss right here, where this whole spinning fireball wheel can't hurt you. And I think they got it. They sure did. And that just lets you, unfortunately, not quite enough good timing to immediately kill the boss, but 1 last hit, boss is done. Second try is still fantastic for this boss.
Yeah, we'll take a second try in a marathon run all the time. But yeah, that's basically the end of the third board here. There's a chest there that contains an item called the Shadow Mantle, but we can't reach it as the Chris NPC avatar there. However, the quickest way to deal with this room, that is just to walk the NPC avatar off the stage. Then Chris goes in to pick up the chest, which has the Shadow Mantle inside of it. Well, the Shadow Mantle is not required to beat the final boss of this chapter. It does help significantly in mitigating damage. So that is going to be the final mantle board and the secret boss of the chapter, all done and dusted. We're going to be heading on over to the final part here. We're going to leave the room and head on over to the right. Go ahead. Okay, I must have been hearing things.
I mean, I do have a quick little update saying, just so you know, friends, we are $126 away from $9.5 thousand. And if we put that money towards Tori 2 incentive, we're going to be well over halfway there. So let's hit this donation incentive, !donate. Again, running out of time. Like it's crunch time, straight up crunch time. We are right at the end. We're getting close to the end of this run. And we need to hit that incentive before the start of Banjo-Kazooie. So if you've been waiting to hold off, now is the time. It is do or die. Let's get this incentive met.
Yeah, get those donuts in, chat. I believe in you. Yeah, so as we were on the way here, we did some quick equips. We equipped all 3 of the weapons that we bought earlier to make sure we're doing this Shadow Mantle to Susie, because the final fight that will cause Susie to take significantly reduced damage, and Susie's the most important member of that fight. as well as equipping the pink ribbon to Rouse, which will give us the pink ribbon's effect, which is going to be extra area for grazing. The downside, of course, in Chapter 3 onward is that it comes with a 20% TP gain penalty, but that's okay. We'll be heading now into the Tenna fight itself. I am going to focus up here as I hand it on over to K-Man.
Yep, so Fluffy's actually going to go ahead and go for a little bit of a damage manipulation strat here, where normally when you do this fight, after Tenna either reaches a certain HP or a certain score threshold, they're going to start throwing physical challenges at you. And you do enough of those, they'll eventually start throwing double physical challenges at you. And unfortunately, physical challenges are significantly slower than normal attacks, so we don't want to do very many of those. So Fluffy is actually going to be doing some management of how much damage they're doing to get as close to that threshold as they possibly can, and then push him as far over it as possible, ideally only getting 2 turns worth of the physical challenges. Now, for this run, the reason fighting Tenna is actually significantly faster is, for some reason, once you finish all of the mantle boards, Chris gets a massive damage increase, doing, like you saw there, 360 versus about 150 that Susie would be doing, who is normally the highest damage dealer in every fight. But this should be it. After this attack, we should see text box come from Tenna and channel 00 will appear
I
on the
just
right.
didn't get it, unfortunately. Yeah, I missed one too many crits with Chris in order to be able to get it. Chris is, because of how much damage Chris deals in the fight, getting crits with Chris specifically is very important. And I just missed one too many crits with it in order to be able to get it. You can adapt to that, depending on how it goes with attacks from other people, but didn't quite end up working out though. But this should be it. We're going to be going into the final attack here.
Yep, so this is going to be a long string of physical challenges. That is the one you don't want to see the most. The variation of the shooting gallery where you have to dodge, that is by far the slowest minigame. Hopefully that's the only time that pops up, but it is mostly random. Once you reach this point, you don't have to worry too much about damage, at least. Because for whatever reason, even if someone falls here, everyone's just ready and shooting in the final attack, no matter what. And here we are. It's time to just go straight for Tenna's face. Don't gotta worry about the damage of the stars. They don't really do that much. It even doesn't matter if anyone dies, and there we go.
Yeah, that is the Tenna fight. Unfortunately, getting that double feature does mean not a great fight. Ideally, you want to have, best case scenario, you get one physical challenge straight into the final attack. Middle scenario is getting 2 regular physical challenges. And then worst case scenario is getting those 2 regular physical challenges and the double feature, which is unfortunately what happened. But it's not the end of the world in terms of time loss. But yeah, it is definitely worth noting that that Tenna's attack there, the ultimate attack is the bitrate annihilator, which thank you for reminding me of that in the chat. The bitrate annihilator. It's so funny how it just the final part of that fight just completely destroys the bitrate, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I just want to give a quick reminder. We are at the basically at the halfway point of getting Tori 2, so you are doing great work so far. Really quickly, Akbar donates $25 with no comment, no problem. Thank you so much or it should be Akbar, excuse me, for that donation. And the Wayfaring Fox donates $10, saying donate to help meet this Banjo-Kazooie incentive. Thank you so much for those donations, Trans Lifeline. But again, so close to this run being over. We need to hit that mark right now. Exclamation point donate in chat, and let's get that incentive. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got one boss fight left and then a little bit of movement till the end of the run. So get those donuts in now, chat. I believe in you. You can reach it. So we're going to come over here for just a little bit of a safety save as we head on over. We're going to head into the final fight of the chapter here as we hit the trigger. Oh, man. Everything's been going pretty all right, and I'm happy with it. But, boy. As we free Toriel from the gotcha ball, something happens to Tenna. I don't know what happens, but I'll tell you, it is cold as heck in this cold ass, frosty ass room I'm in. Is that the Grim Reaper? All right. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Roaring Knight. Tricky Tony be like, haha, you think the Roaring Knight appears in Chapter 5 or 6? No, Chapter 3. Thank you, Tricky Tony. All right. So this, in most other categories of Deltarune, you don't actually have to beat this boss. However, all bosses categories mandate a defeat of the Roaring Knight. And this is, in a lot of people's opinion, the single most difficult fight in the entire game currently. So I'm going to focus up. K-Man, take over.
Yep, so unlike most fights in Deltarune, you do not have a choice here. You have to fight the Roaring Knight. There is no sparing the Roaring Knight. There is no mercy. It is only combat. So you have to get the Roaring Knight down. Thankfully, not their entire health bar, because as you see, the damage numbers are pretty low. You only have to get about a third of their health bar down, and most of that damage is going to come from Susie's Rude Busters. As you see, 130 damage versus 22. And that is also why Susie was the one to get the Shadow Mental earlier, which drastically reduces the amount of damage that whoever has it equipped takes to the Roaring Knight's attacks. Now, as I mentioned, it's just a specific health threshold you have to get to finish this fight. And speaking of bitrate destroyers, that's another one. And to get their absolute ideal circumstances, it takes about 7 turns. If you do phenomenal grazing and get enough TP to get all your Rude Busters in and do multiple other attacks besides. Unfortunately, Rouse is going to has died. They took a lot of the single target damage, which is unfortunately a little bit unlucky, but that's alright. That will probably only end up with 1 extra turn. And now we're seeing repeats of the same attacks, but they're more difficult, so I'm going to go ahead and let Fluffy have some quiet time to finish up this fight.
I'm just going to go ahead and reset this one. Unfortunately, I went really off script and just unfortunately just lost my rhythm on one of those attacks. So we're just going to do it for a second attempt. Losing Rouse early on is... you can lose Rouse late and still kind of make things go on script. But if Rouse dies early, unfortunately, it puts things very heavily off script and I lost my rhythm. So we're going to try that again, unfortunately.
Yep, notably, it's also a very big deal if Susie dies because she does so much more damage than everyone else. If you have made it very far in the fight, like you only need 1 or 2 more turns worth, Chris's damage does go up as other people die. So there is the possibility of still barely, squeezing it out with that, but unfortunately those deaths were just a little bit too early to take advantage of that. But the goal of this really is getting as much grazes as possible just to output as much damage as you possibly can. And I'm gonna go ahead and once again give Fluffy some quiet time for this fight.
I'm just getting some awful patterns on that one. I'm going to reset this one again. You can kind of get away with it with Chris and Susie, but once Chris goes down, it's just sort of a whatever.
You got this.
Yeah, unfortunately, just getting some really, really bad RNG on the patterns of the Starstorm attack that's been messing me up.
Like I said, both the Mantle fight and this fight are why the estimate is what it is. These fights, once you make just a little bit of mistake, it's very easily to just get your rhythm thrown off, and it just spirals out of control from there. And the reason that is so particularly bad in this fight is when Susie and Rouse die, they are set to negative 999 HP. So in this run, there is absolutely no way you can bring them back once they've died. There are items to do it, but those are so far out of the way that you can't really get any of those.
It also is definitely worth noting that they don't exist in Chapter 3 at all unless you get, like, specific rewards from the RAM for certain scores on the board, which, because we have to get S rank, we don't have the capability to get them, so we have to do this fight without the revive items.
Yep. And as we come into the difficult version of attacks yet again, I will give Fluffy their focus.
Yeah. I'm just losing my focus, unfortunately. Okay. Lock in. If this goes on for too long, because we can just skip forward, I will just continue forward, but I am going to keep giving this attempts. This is unfortunately the worst I've performed on this fight in quite some time. But that's okay. It's nerves.
Kind of with a quick reminder, it's like, we know you got this. Chat, give some energy to LordFluffy. Really quickly as a reminder, we are at the halfway point of Tori 2. We need to get that unlocked now. Exclamation point donate in chat. Put your money towards that incentive. We have no time left whatsoever, so we want to get that unlocked, but we need your help right now, friends.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and revive this one. This one is not the end of the world. Chris going down is not the end of the world because Chris can be revived. It's specifically if Rouse or Susie go down.
Yep. So Chris taking the damage isn't all that bad, thankfully. But thankfully though, no, aside from Chris, no one actually died, so Fluffy can use some of that backup food. Just take it a little easier and slower with that.
I still mismenued.
I'm
not used to doing that menuing. Oh, that's evil. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I just used Ultra Heal. I'm so off kilter. I'm so unbelievably off kilter. I sort of want to reset this one. Yeah, I'm just gonna reset this one too. I'm very off kilter, and the fight's gonna go so late that I'll be hitting attacks that I haven't practiced a whole lot.
I'll cut in with a really quick $10 donation from Cass, who says, "For my trans friends who helped me through life less than 3." Thank you so much, Cass, for that wonderful donation to Trans Lifeline. And just while watching this one, can we get a trans rights in chat, friends?
I will give you a trans right myself. Trans rights are human rights, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here.
Trans rights are human rights indeed.
attack is a turn early. A lot to do. So bad. Important to keep Susie alive here than Chris, just because Chris can be revived. We want to have a Rude Buster every single turn, ideally, but I think it's just better if I play it safe right now and take a potential turn loss for that.
Fun fact, actually, about those sword attacks: the hitboxes on those swords were actually nerfed. Initially, when this game released, a lot of those red laser swords, a lot of those places that looked like safe spots weren't actually safe because of how wide the hitboxes were on the swords. So those were changed. Unfortunately, that did actually also impact the hitboxes on the sword hallway bit, where it is now a little harder to gain TP on those because of that. But you can still get enough to get all your Rude Busters. But that's when the pink ribbon comes into play and does make things a lot easier in that regard.
Okay, we got to Heartbeat becomes quickened. Okay, so when you get the text, your heartbeat becomes quickened, and it's early enough in the fight, that is the signal that the knight has reached the HP threshold it needs to go into its final attack. So now we just need to survive here. We did lose Chris and Rouse, but we only need one person alive at the end of the fight here. So we're going to heal up Susie to full, and hopefully we don't take 6 hits in this final attack, at which point we will consider it a W for the night fight. So far, so good. And that is...
And we're good.
We're good. That is the night fight done. A few more attempts than I ideally would have liked, but you know what? It's one of the hardest fights in the game. Sometimes your rhythm gets thrown off and everything is the worst forever. But that's okay, because we're done. And at this point, the time frame from here till the end of the run, so long as all my inputs are all my inputs are correct, is exactly the same. So with that note, I'm going to hand it over one more time to Asuka right after I say this is the main reason why other categories don't mandate a defeat of the knight, is because regardless if you defeat the knight or not, the end result is the same. Your party gets swooned, you get KO'd, and the knight attempts to take Toriel. So Asuka, if you have anything, take it away.
Again, this is the final push to get that Tori to any % run added to Banjo-Kazooie. That is adding a whole other run in the middle of an unskippable cutscene at the very beginning of the Banjo-Kazooie run. Our time is running out very quickly. Exclamation point donate in chat. We are at the halfway mark. We can do this, but we need to do this now. Make sure you are putting your donations towards that incentive, because we're also doing this live at Slightly Furry. So shout out to our friends in Seattle, Washington watching us live. Let's get that run met for a live crowd. Exclamation point donate and put it towards that incentive. We need to hit it now. I know we can do this, chat. Let's go. Instead, chat, let's go, Banjo.
I believe in the donation train. The donation train will come in 2 minutes' time. I believe in y'all. You'll get your donos in. And much like the King's Chariot, you cannot be stopped. So here we go. The final bit of gameplay here is going to happen. We will instantly just hold to the right. You might see that crystal on the ground. That contains the Shadow Crystal for this chapter, as well as the Black Shard. One of the best weapons, if not the best weapon for Chris currently in the game. However, you don't actually need to pick it up for the speedrun, as we're not progressing into Chapter 4, so we will be leaving it behind. And at this point, this is just a bunch of holding the wrist protector until the end of the game. So timing will end when the screen fades to black at the end of this cutscene. Until then, I'm going to get in some shout outs to, get ahead of the curve here since I've got some time. So I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Fastest First Fall Fest, of course, for having me on with this run. I'm not typically very good at these types of games. There is something about 2D games and whatnot that removing a dimension causes my average skill level to go down in them. So this was a very fun challenge for me to try and get a good time while practicing for this. And I actually did PB in the practice run before we went live, which is very nice. I'm going to also thank you to K-Man for helping me commentate here because it's been, of course, very different from what I normally do. Needed the help. Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to help.
All right. And final shout out before the run ends. I just want to give a shout out to Trans Lifeline. What you're doing, especially right now, is some of the best work we can ask for. Thank you all so much at Trans Lifeline for what you do. You're offering a wonderful service, and I appreciate it so, so much. With that being said, we are coming up to time here. The shelter door is going to open up for Chris, and when the screen fades to black, that will be time. And time. Yeah, so that is going to be, that, ladies and gentlemen, is Deltarune Chapter 3 All Bosses. The night fight could have gone better, but everything else was pretty much as good as I could hope for, especially with John Mantle, which I usually average a second try and run attempts. So, yeah. I'm going to quickly get out of the way since I got my shout-outs out of the way, but I am going to say, if you want to follow me specifically at LordFluffy on Twitch, Blue Sky, LordFluffy.bluesky.social, you can follow me there. We'll hopefully be getting back to other speedruns in the future, maybe doing some more of this myself. With that being said, Canon, you got any shout-outs?
Shout-outs to Toby Fox. Happy birthday. It's his birthday today.
Yeah. Happy birthday to Toby Fox, the creator of Deltarune. Tricky Tony, we do appreciate you so much. All right. With that being said, I'm going to hand it back to Asuka and the staff to take it on to the next run. Get that banjo run set up, chat. You got time for donos. Get them in. It's not quite over yet. Right now, get them in.
Thank you so much, Lord Fluffy, for a fantastic, fantastic run. That is absolutely amazing. GG's. And again, I just want to give you a quick heads up. Time is of the essence, and we just hit 3 donations coming in right now. We had $50 from Chesty with no comment, but thank you so much for your charitable donation. We have another $50 from Professor Wolf. Looking forward to the live run. Thank you so much. We also had $50 from Dragon Roast Coffee saying, "Let's go, Banjo." Thank you all so much for your donations to Trans Lifeline. And that brings us so close to the $500 we need. We are currently at 390. We have minutes left, and we are just scratching at that goal. So please, 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 exclamation point, donate in chat while we go to break. I will say, I'm officially done for the night, but I'm going to be handing it over to the wonderful, capable, and awesome voice of Vani Vaughn, who is going to be doing a fantastic hosting job, and Vani will get us to that Tory 2%. So stay tuned and keep those donations coming in, friends.